What happens when a lonely 12-year-old befriends the mysterious girl next door? And she turns out to be something far more dangerous than he could ever imagine. In the frozen suburbs of Stockholm, friendship comes with a deadly price. And tonight, we're diving into one of the most haunting vampire stories ever told. But before Oskar discovers the truth about his new friend, someone else is about to meet a terrible fate. We meet 12-year-old Oskar, and right away, we can tell something's not right in his life. He's constantly picked on at school by 3 bullies, Connie and his friends, Martin and Andreas. These kids make Oskar's life miserable, and he's too afraid to fight back. But what Oskar does in the evenings reveals just how deep his anger goes. Every night, Oskar goes to the courtyard of his apartment complex and practices something dark. He stabs a tree over and over, rehearsing knife attacks on his tormentors. It's his only way to feel powerful. And that's when she appears. One snowy evening, Oskar notices something strange. A young girl about his age and an older man are moving into apartment 15, right next door to him. But here's the weird part. The very first thing they do is cover all the windows with cardboard. Who does that? What Oskar doesn't know is that this man isn't the girl's father at all, and his real job is something unthinkable. The man's name is Håkan, and the girl is Eli. But their relationship is nothing like a normal family. Håkan's job is to bring Eli fresh blood, human blood. He stalks a man through the snowy woods, using his chemical to knock him unconscious. Then he strings the body up from a tree by the feet, preparing to drain the blood into his jug. But just as he's working, he hears voices. 2 girls walking their dog through the woods. They're getting closer. Håkan panics and flees into the darkness, leaving everything behind. In his rush to escape, he loses the jug of blood. One evening, as Oskar is stabbing the tree again, he notices Eli watching him from the shadows. She's blunt and unfriendly. "I can't be your friend," she tells him right away. But something about her intrigues Oskar. The next night, they meet again. And this time, Oskar notices something impossible. Eli is standing in the courtyard in the dead of winter. No coat, no jacket, nothing. And she's not even cold. When Oskar gets close, he notices she smells bad, like something's rotting. But despite the strangeness, he shares his Rubik's Cube with her and shows her how it works. After Oskar goes inside that night, Eli goes hunting, and an innocent man is about to pay the price. 2 neighborhood friends, Jockey and Lake, are walking home. When they part ways and Jockey walks under the bridge alone, Eli calls out weakly, "Help me." Jockey thinks a little girl has fallen. He has no idea he just made a fatal mistake. The moment Jockey picks Eli up, she latches onto his neck. A man named Gusta sees everything from his apartment window. He stumbles into the local cafe for help, but by the time they get to the bridge, Jockey's body is gone. Håkan has already tossed it into a pond. All they find is blood in the snow. The next morning, Oskar makes a discovery that changes everything. Eli has solved his Rubik's Cube and left it in the courtyard. When they meet later, she's different, more friendly. She takes time to explain how she solved the puzzle. She also smells better now. But when Oskar asks about her birthday, Eli can't remember it. She doesn't celebrate birthdays or get presents. Oskar, feeling sorry for her, gives her the Rubik's Cube to keep. But at school, Oskar's problems are about to get much worse. After class, Oskar stays late to copy Morse code symbols from the encyclopedia. On his way home, Connie and his friends corner him. When Connie demands to see what Oskar copied and Oskar refuses, Martin grabs him. Andreas begins whipping Oskar's legs with a stick. Then Martin slaps the stick across Oskar's cheek, cutting it open. When Eli sees the wound on Oskar's face, she gives him advice that will change him forever. Oskar lies to his mother about falling during recess, but when Eli asks, he tells her the truth. Eli's response is firm. "You must fight back. They will stop if you do. And if they don't stop, I'll help you." That night, they tap Morse code messages to each other through the wall between their apartments. A strange friendship is forming. But as Oskar and Eli grow closer, their bond is about to be tested in the most disturbing way. Later, he takes Eli to a candy store and offers her a piece. She refuses at first, then tries one. Moments later, Oskar finds her heaving violently on the sidewalk around the corner. Her body can't handle normal food. He hugs her anyway. Then Eli asks him a strange question. "Would you still like me if I wasn't a girl?" Oskar doesn't understand what she means, but he says yes. Meanwhile, Håkan is growing jealous of Oskar, and he's about to make a terrible mistake. Håkan tries to hunt again. This time, he targets a student alone in the school's weightlifting room. But he's interrupted when the student's friends arrive to pick him up. Håkan realizes he's trapped and about to be discovered. What he does next is almost impossible to believe. Knowing he'll be caught, Håkan pours acid on his own face to destroy his identity. The acid burns through his skin, making him unrecognizable. He's rushed to the hospital. When Eli learns what happened, she goes to the hospital, but not to comfort him. Eli climbs up the outside of the hospital building to Håkan's window. When she gets there, Håkan lets her in and does something final. He offers her his neck. Eli drinks his blood. And then Håkan falls from the window to his death. That same night, Eli shows up at Oskar's window, and what happens next will reveal everything. Eli taps on Oskar's bedroom window, asking to be let in. Oskar, half asleep, tells her to come in. She crawls into bed with him. That's when Oskar notices she's not wearing any clothes. He asks her if she'd like to go steady with him. Eli's answer is strange. "I'm not a girl." But Oskar doesn't seem bothered by this. They decide to go steady anyway. The next morning, Eli leaves a note that sounds like a goodbye. The note reads, "To flee is life, to linger is death. Your Eli." Is she planning to leave? But before Eli can leave, Oskar finally stands up to his bullies, and everything spirals out of control. On a school trip to a frozen pond for ice skating, Connie, Martin, and Andreas confront Oskar again. They threaten to push him into an ice hole, but this time, Oskar fights back. He swings a stick at Connie's head, making his ear bleed. At the same time, two younger students go behind some trees and notice something horrifyingly frozen in the ice. A body. The police are called. It's Jockey. That afternoon, Oskar brings Eli to a basement room, and what he does reveals his darkest thoughts. In the basement, Oskar pulls out a knife and cuts his own palm. He wants to mix blood with Eli. But watching his blood drip onto the floor, Eli can't control herself anymore. Without Håkan's blood, her hunger has become overwhelming. She falls to the floor and begins lapping up Oskar's blood. The pieces are starting to come together for Oskar. But others in town are also getting dangerously close to the truth. Jockey's friend Laki and his girlfriend Virginia are trying to convince Gösta to tell the police what he saw the night Jockey was attacked. During an argument, Virginia storms off to the subway. That's when Eli strikes. She jumps on Virginia and attacks her. Laki manages to kick Eli off before she can finish, but the damage is already done. Virginia has been infected. The next morning, she opens the blinds in her apartment and immediately slams them shut again. The sunlight burns. That evening, she goes to Gösta's apartment in search of Laki. But the moment she enters, something terrible happens. Gösta's cats go crazy and viciously attack her, The cats can sense what she's become. In the hospital, Virginia realizes the horrible truth and makes a final choice. Virginia knows she's been infected with something unnatural. She doesn't want to become what Eli is. She asks the doctor to open the blinds in her room. The moment sunlight hits her, she bursts into flames. Meanwhile, Oskar has finally figured out what Eli really is. Oskar knocks on Eli's apartment door. When she lets him in, he sees that the place has no furniture. Eli smells bad again. She hasn't been fed. Later, when Eli comes to his apartment and asks to be invited in, Oskar stalls. He asks her what would happen if he didn't invite her in. Eli's answer proves everything Oskar suspected, in the most horrifying way. Eli steps inside without being invited. Immediately, she begins bleeding from everywhere, her eyes, her ears, her skin. Blood pours from her body. Oskar can't watch her suffer. He invites her in, and the bleeding stops instantly. Eli explains that she drinks blood because she has to. It's the only way she can survive. Oskar understands. He lets Eli shower and put on one of his mother's dresses. As she changes, Oskar peeks through the door and sees something strange. A horizontal scar across Eli's lower body, with no trace of typical anatomy. Eli's past holds even more secrets than Oskar realizes. When Oskar's mother comes home, Eli has to make a daring escape. Eli immediately scampers across the outside of the building, climbing from Oskar's window to hers, 2 stories up, like it's nothing. The next morning brings a meeting that will force Eli to make an impossible choice. Oskar finds a note from Eli asking if he wants to meet that evening. But Lake has figured out where Eli lives. He breaks into her apartment and finds her asleep in the bathtub. Because he can't see in the dark, he starts ripping away the cardboard covering the windows. Oskar, who's in the apartment waiting for Eli, screams, "No!" But is it too late? The warning gives Eli just enough time. She jumps on Lake and drinks his blood. After feeding, she thanks Oskar, but tells him she has to leave. That night, Oskar watches from his window as Eli moves away. She's gone, but Oskar's nightmare isn't over. In fact, the worst is yet to come. The next day, Martin calls Oskar and asks if he'll be at swimming practice that afternoon. Martin even tells Oskar that he thinks Oskar was right to stand up to Connie. It seems like things might be getting better, but it's all a trap. At the pool, someone starts a fire in the trash bin outside, forcing the attendant to leave. While Oskar swims alone, Martin distracts him. That's when Connie, Andreas, and Connie's older brother Jimmy enter the pool area. Jimmy orders everyone else out. When they're alone with Oskar, Jimmy gives him a brutal ultimatum. Oskar has 3 minutes to hold his breath underwater, or Jimmy will take one of his eyes. It's Oskar's eye for Connie's ear. Jimmy grabs Oskar's hair and shoves him underwater. Oskar struggles, but Jimmy holds him down. 1 minute passes. Oskar's lungs are burning. He's going to drown. But then, suddenly, feet skim across the surface of the pool. Then Jimmy's severed head floats past. Oskar is pulled from the pool, barely conscious. When he gasps for air and looks around, he sees something incredible. Eli is there. She came back for him. 3 of his tormentors have been eliminated. The 4th bully is sobbing by the pool, traumatized by what he just witnessed. Eli saved Oskar, but now they can never go back to their old lives. We see Oskar sitting on a train. Snow falls outside the window. He's leaving everything behind. In front of him sits a large basket. From inside the basket comes a tapping sound. Morse code. Oskar taps back. P-U-S-S. Swedish for kiss. Eli's in the basket. They're together, and they're running. Let the Right One In is more than just a vampire story. It's about loneliness, friendship, and the lengths we'll go to for the people who truly see us. Oskar and Eli are both outcasts. He from his peers, she from humanity itself. But together, they find something neither had before: acceptance. The film asks uncomfortable questions. Is Eli using Oskar the way Håkan was used? Or is this real friendship? The beauty of this movie is that it doesn't give easy answers. It shows us that sometimes the people who save us are the most dangerous. And that's okay, as long as we understand what we're getting into. The swimming pool scene is one of the most intense moments in horror cinema, not because of what we see, but because of what it means. Eli doesn't just save Oskar's life, she sets him free from his tormentors forever. But that freedom comes at a terrible cost. If you loved this movie, you need to watch the original Swedish version with subtitles. This recap is based on that masterpiece. There's also an American remake called Let Me In from 2010, which is actually quite good, but the original has a raw, cold beauty that's hard to match. If you enjoyed this recap, smash that like button and subscribe for more horror breakdowns, and let me know what movie you want me to cover next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.